So just assume that scenario wise, if we are thinking about a program to communicate or produce a communication between more than one object. So in that case, for example, we have a scenario of Flipkart where customers, see what are the all actors or the objects here. Means when I'm dealing with an application called Flipkart, definitely there will be something called customers. Definitely there will be something called as products. Right? So these all, that means Flipkart is something which consists of where users can register and where the products will be sold. So customers will try to log into the Flipkart or sign up the Flipkart and log in the Flipkart. And what will they find inside the Flipkart is a list of products. Means both the products and the customers are a part of Flipkart. They are connected via the Flipkart app. So that means Flipkart has a list of products and as well as customers. Now customers can log in and we will check what are the list of products available in the Flipkart so that we can purchase and we can pay the bill for it, something like that. So to do such a programming, so in Java everything is an object. So we have to think like object is nothing but made up of class. So Flipkart will be a special class, customer will be another class, and product will be one more class. So what are its attributes? We'll find out one day. So in this, Flipkart is the major one, in which it consists of which objects right now? Products
Products and customers.
and customers. But how many products, how many customers as of now? It can be n number of products, not just one. So just think like if I write an example like student has an email ID. How will you write this description in a programmatic way? Student has an email ID. Let me say email ID or name and email ID. Something like this. So how will we write that through a Java programming base? We'll mention student as a class and inside the student class we'll declare these two variables because name is a string data, email ID also is a string data. So I can just declare these two variables with a specific data type of string. This is what is student is having name and a email ID. Now the same thing if I connect with this concept. What does it say? Here I say student has name and an email ID. Now Flipkart has
Products and customers.
n products and n customers. Some n customers. So that means how will we represent coding wise here in this scenario also? If we have to just write it also. How would we do that? Here we have done student has a name. What is name? Is nothing but a string. That means he has a string name and he has a string email ID. So this is the data type here. Now what Flipkart consists of?
Products.
Product. So what is a product? What is the product? Already we designed the product as a class with all those attributes, variables and methods. And methods. These will be defined. Similarly, we'll be writing a class called customer also with specific variables and specific methods. So we'll fill the data later. So definitely this class will also have some variables and some methods. Now we are saying that Flipkart also is acting like a class. But what is there inside the Flipkart class?
Customer and the product.
So what is customer? Customer is a
class.
Class. So I need to here have, if I write like this, what does it mean?
Customer object.
Objects. So that means customer is nothing but a user defined data type. So you should always remember this point that classes are user defined data types or data types. See, these are actually data types, reference data types. Okay. whether it's user defined or predefined. There are two types here, predefined or user defined reference data types. So these are data types. So whenever I said Flipkart has products and customers, that is nothing but it has few objects of products and few objects of customers.
Customer.
So in this scenario, I have declared one variable of customer and one variable of product. But is it an object or is it only a reference variable?
Here it is only reference one.
Yeah, reference. To have an object, we should have written something like this. It's an email ID only. So this is one customer. That means now inside Flipkart, what do we have?
Products.
Yeah. Something like this. So if this is the code, just think like this is a program somebody has designed, non-graphical. This is a non-graphical. Now I want to access that just for testing purpose. How would we access them?
Class one. We have to create a new object here.
Yeah, object of what?
Flipkart class.
Yeah, so we need to first create an object of Flipkart. Is Flipkart. Once we have, that means like we are accessing the Flipkart right now. Inside Flipkart, what do we find?
Yeah.
The product. So here we have the customer. You can try to see the customer's name like this. So C1 is only the customer. Inside C1, what do we find? We have his name and email ID. So we can try to print it in this manner if you want to directly check. And this one. Right? So same way we can see the other details. Same way we can see the product also. So inside Flipkart we'll find the product object.
Here name should be method's name in customer class one.
Name should be a variable in the customer class. So
Yeah.
if we have written a customer class, definitely we would have written some variable called as string name. Something. We have to write the code, right? And if you have
Yes.
a method called void display, then we could have called this itself directly. So I'm just going step by step actually. Okay. Nice. So here we have to write a constructor. That is second way. I'm just writing some name here. So we are just assuming that already the name is mentioned here. Or we have to write a constructor. So that's what we have to do the later. Write a constructor here. Everything we have to code. Okay?
Yes.
String argument of name and the email ID. So here also I should have another variable called email. So then we can just go for the initialization inside the constructor. This dot name is equal to name
Name is equal to name.
and this dot email ID is equal
Email
to
ID is equal to email ID.
okay. So that's like it's up to you now. One by one we have to write the code. So I didn't want to write immediately right now. We'll do the coding right. So overview of the program I'm trying to give it. So if we have developed the Flipkart class, just minimum code only I am writing. So I just created a object of customer with these details. So similar way, if I have constructed the product object like this, so we can understand inside product class we have a constructor with how many arguments? Integer product ID, the product name and the product cost. Prefix. So right now this is only a Flipkart with only one customer and one product. Just to test this program, I have to just create an object of the Flipkart and whatever we want to access we can call the customer object. Now inside customer object if you have some operations. Now we have seen that I added an operation. C1 dot sorry fk dot C1 dot display. I could do this. So That means the main application should not do manual printing like this. So inside the customer interface only, we'll have some operation. So when I connect to, when I am a customer, when I open my page, I'll definitely have an option to see the customer detail or something. So that means
Yes.
definitely there will be some functions written in each class to retrieve the data of the objects. So this function we can call. So same way, whatever we want, we can access from the Flipkart like this. But now the main problem here is, do we find everything directly in the Flipkart like that? Or the Flipkart has only one product like that and one customer? When the app was developed, will it already consist of a customer and a product?
No, no.
No. So that means in Flipkart, we should not have any customer or product in the beginning. So how will we get this inside the Flipkart? How will we get a customer? How will we get a product inside Flipkart?
We have to add this one.
Yes. So in Flipkart, there should be like for an admin part. Maybe Flipkart's admin role will log in into the Flipkart account. As an admin, he can add product details. We should have some logic by which somebody can enter some product details into the app right now. That means app means the database as well. So via the app, the admin should be able to fill some form, the details of the product, and just say submit. So by which the product details should be saved into it. So that means that is a procedure or a methodology. So we definitely would have some method to add a new product which is launched in the company into the software actually. So that method is like add product details. So what is the role of this method? Whenever user gives some details of a product, like he should enter the product name or product cost and everything, and the cost of the product. So if he is entering three data on the what is the text field forms and anything, what we should do is we should save it in the Flipkart drive. That means I'm saying that this operation is done by some employee of a Flipkart. And what is he trying to do? He fill the
He's adding new
detail,
products.
add the details of the product. So by this, what should happen inside this? He has just filled the form. Just by filling the form, everything will not happen automatically. The coding should be
Yes.
done behind this method code. So what should this do? This should save these details inside some variables or Flipkart as of the Flipkart variables. So in Flipkart, there should be some variable where I can store this data. Whatever product you have, details you have entered, this is only details. This is not a product object. That means I should save these details in some Flipkart product object. That means product object should be created. So inside Flipkart, we should have an option to create a product object with these three given details. Okay, but before that, if you see that all products, before when I discussed, the card should have a list of, when I mentioned, has a list of products and customers. Just correlate with another statement. Has a list of marks. How will we represent that? List of 5 marks or 6 subjects marks. How will we write it in a coding wise? How should we do this in a coding way? If I have to write this concept of,
RS1, RS1.
yeah, so that means has a 6 marks in an array form, in an array of integer. Same thing if I have to say here, Flipkart has, or maybe only 10 products can be taken in the Flipkart. Just think, we have thousands, but I'm just reducing the number. If Flipkart can only store 10 products at a time, So that is list of products. So that should be stored in which variable? List of products should be stored in which one? In which row?
Product array, I guess.
Yes. In array format. Array of product.
Products.
So that should be having some already predefined number of 10 size or something. So we should create an empty array which should be present in Flipkart class. So something like I want to create plist array with a new keyword and the list the new arrays of which type, product type, and what is the size of this array.
Yes.
That means there is an empty list. Flipkart initially when the program was developed there was no product inside that. It is an empty array, but we know the size of the array. So how many products it can accommodate in this list? Maximum
10.
10. Similarly, we create one more array to store whose details. Maybe it is 50 or something. Maybe it wants to take maybe 50 customers or something. So now we have these two objects, these two list of arrays present inside which object are a part of Flipkart class.
Flipkart.
So Flipkart will already have some space to store the product details, means product objects, and also to store the customer details, that is customer objects. So where are we going to add every new product which is generated is in this product list. And where are we going to add the customer details for getting registered as of now in this list file. Fine. So for that we have to do some operations. So that means if I just start a strategy of the class now, it should have these two things. Flipkart has only a product list and a customer list. Now what we can do in a particular Flipkart is the first operation which I mentioned here is void add
Details.
product details. That means this is operation which is only visible to admin. Maybe some security or some passwords will be given. So based on that, he can do that operation. He should have already logged into this account. So then only as an admin, then only it will be shown. So these all things we'll discuss later, like how they are logging, that is secondary. If an admin wants to do this operation, what he has to enter here? A number, a name, and a cost.
Cost.
Now what should I do with all these three things?
We should add a new product.
Now we should create some
New product object.
should be created here with these details. So we can just go and create a normal product object with these four details. PID, which is passed as an argument to this method. Instruction is here. Somebody has filled the form. I'll pick those data, create data, and create an object of which type. This is a programmatic object. So we have wrapped those information inside a Java product. Now, what should this product be done? What should we do with this product now? Somebody has given the details. With that, I created a product object. Now, where should I save this product?
That array, man, product array.
Yes. So just take the array. In that, we have to put it in some index. So as of now, 0. But will it be always 0?
No.
No, it should be growing counter. So pick a counter. Pick a counter for currently where the data should be at. So P counter as 0 means currently empty. That means the first cell is empty. So P, the product counter is pointing to the available cell where I should add the product. The cell where I should add the product is at which index? 0th index. So same way now there are no customers. So customer count is also right now 0. So that whenever we add, we should only check add into which location now? PC count. And after adding, we should just change the count of the products. So initially there were no products. So whenever we add, it should be going to which index? PC index. So currently what is the PC? it's a zero.
Yes.
And definitely there should be a check also. Less than the, okay, do that. That means if space is available only, we should do that. Otherwise, we'll get an exception again. Error will come.
Yes.
So otherwise, you just mention as already full. The list is already okay. This is elsewhere.
Yes.
So if it is added, let us put a message here also. After adding it, let us just put a message that product added successfully. Till here it's clear. So this
Yes,
operation
ma'am.
is only used for which purpose? To add a new product into the Flipkart list. Nothing more than that. So same way, when somebody logs in, some customer, think that some customer has logged in, what should he do? What will he generally do before purchasing a product?
Login credentials you have to.
Yeah, login credentials you do. And after that,
You have to log in and you have to search for product.
yes, so that means we'll go for something like, okay, let me say view all products. So this is a method. So what should this method do for you?
It should display all the elements of the array.
Yeah, so inside array we have all the products. We don't know how many are there right now. So better take a for loop, start from zero. But how many products are there? How will I count? Which
Array
variable?
length. Array length.
Array length is 10, but we have currently only 3 products available in Flipkart. Did we take any
Counter is
variable?
their product counter.
Yeah, so we can take that product. Okay, and in that products, this that means if I say the list of I, that means is it product array or is it the product? Am I talking about a product, right? The list of I means what?
The list of items it is showing the product one like
Yeah,
uh,
product only. So if we have written some method display details method. So if display details is a method inside product class, then we can call this. Is that clear? So this loop will run as long as the data is available. So in the same scenario, we can just put a message here initially saying that if PC count is double equal to 0, we should just say that there are no products. Like now, during the lockdown period, there was nothing on sale. We used to get some messages there. Okay, like this. Else, we have to go for the for loop. So simply we are not going to bring the elements unless there are elements. So if there are no elements, I want to get some message on the screen. I should not go blank because this loop will only display the details if products are there. But if there are no products, it won't say anything on the screen. So first itself analyze whether the products are available or not. If it's not there, display this message and come out of the loop. But if the products are available, even one product, the loop will take care of it. Okay? Is that
yes
clear?
ma'am.
Now same way,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
just think these are all the operations of Flipkart. Somebody will do it on the Flipkart one. View product details. That means I want to view a particular product details. So how will we do it? Like searching. Just visit searching for a product details. So what will we generally enter while searching? What should we enter on the search box?
Product name ma'am.
So let us take user should enter some product name. I should search based on that. What will we type about? So user only type the name of the product. Where are the products available?
Product array again. You have to
Yeah,
compare.
P list. Yeah, product list. Already. But what did we get as an argument? What user has given you?
Name.
Only name. This added as product objects.
You
And
have
user has
to
given
call the object name from that product
yes.
object.
So we need to run it. Take a loop to access each object. Go directly to the object and get the name of the object at each index. So whenever you say that some p list of 0, that means it's a first product. First product dot the name of it. So that name we have to compare with the given name. So at each
Yes.
index must be compared with the given name in the argument. Okay. So to do that, what is the step we will do? We'll again run a for loop. The for loop will again start from 0, I less than PC, I plus plus. And what should we do inside this loop? What we should compare?
Names one.
Yeah, which names?
Product name with the user entered. Yes.
So product name is in the product list.
Yes.
So I need to go and access the product at the ith position, and inside that I want to find that product's name.
Name
Now I want to check, is this name equal to
equals
the
P name.
P name, what we have entered, right? So I have to check, did I give P name or not? We have to check variables in the product list. So everything should be proper right now. Yeah, it's name only. So instead of getting confused, now everywhere we should take the same variable. So here also I will take same thing. So here I am directly saying plist dot plist of y, directly the object dot name is object's name. And I am checking, is it matching with which name? Temporal, the local. So now both will be compared. If we found matching, that means I got a correct matching product. So what should I do now right now?
It will display the product.
Other details of it. All the details of the product it should display. Okay. So let's just, or we have a method. List of I dot display.
Details.
Is that clear?
This one.
And will you write the whole logic like I'm not completing it? Like the product is not available, we should get a correct message. If that I'm
Yes.
searching for some Samsung, but currently they are not selling that. So I should get it is not in stock. The product is not in stock. Some message we should get. If it's found, it will definitely display the details. But if it's not there, we should show that error message. So you write the code for not found code that right here. Okay, the product is not. Is that clear till here? Any
Yes.
confusion?
No.
So this is like searching, adding, viewing all, or deleting. So generally we have an option of doing another operation called as deleting option. So next operation we can simply say delete a product because this will be admin point of view. So when somebody wants to delete a product from the app, on what basis they should delete?
I didn't understand.
Okay, there are products available in the list. That admin wants to delete one of the products available. So how will we say which product I should delete? Or delete
Same again.
what?
Product ID and name.
Okay, product ID is enough because name can be lengthy.
Yes.
So instead of that, because it's an employee point of view, we will always prefer IDs of the products. We will not prefer name by deleting. Searching is the customer point of view. So customer does not know the ID of the product. He only knows the name of the product. So whenever a customer wants to search for a data, we'll be searching on name of the products. name basis. But whenever
Yes.
we want to delete a product or anything related to the employee point of view, we should do it with the that means product ID base. Now, can you write this logic on your own if I leave this?
Yes, Violet.
You have to think actually, that's what. I'll give you some time, you can try it anyhow. So we have to search for the product,
Product ID and then delete it.
yeah, with this given product and delete. So delete means what? If there are some two products, three products, and if user wants to delete 102, what should happen when I say I want to delete 102? This is an array. How many cells are there in this array? Is it only three or is it has more?
N number of elements.
So here we have at last 10, totally 10 elements.
Okay.
So out of the 10, if 102 is available in which position?
First position, first index.
No, 102.
0 and 1, 1. That is 1.
This is 101. This is 102.
Okay. 2.
Okay, okay, sorry. I'm sorry, sorry. Yeah, index number 1 only. Now we have to delete. So when I delete this, mean to say that I have to delete this, I should remove this whole information connected to this index. Now what
Yes,
should
sir.
happen on that? What about this cell? Is it having anything or nothing?
It is not having anything.
Yeah, it should not have anything. But that means the whole array will look disfigured. Like somewhere the data is there, somewhere the data is missing.
Yes.
Should I arrange the data like that after deletion or we should reorganize this?
We have to rearrange them, then it will only have 9 elements.
So that means what we have to do, we have to push this element into
And not to first index.
first index. If there is something else, it should push to the this index in this one. That means second index. Everything should reshuffle. That means wherever the data is deleted, we have to shuffle I plus 1 index, its next index into which one? Ith index. That means p list of I, wherever we want, we have deleted no, that index should be replaced with the product in the next index. That means shuffle all the elements from last to first, last to the deleted index. Okay, is that clear? So we have to do it in a loop actually. So this logic should be done in a loop.
And for deletion, is there any function kind of thing? Like,
No, no. In array we don't have any function. Later we'll
okay.
learn a collection chapter where we can do everything automatically. We will just say delete or remove. It will come automatically remove and shuffle the elements also.
Okay.
But array is a simple program. There is no logic. There is no methods in that. Array is a simple class which only can accommodate data, which can only represent a continuous memory block of data. But there are no
Yes.
methods in that. No methods in an array. So if you take an array to print all the elements, you have to manually write a for loop. To delete one element, you have to write again the for loop to check and delete. You add an element also, run a loop and go to the end, and then you add the element. Something like that. Means everything is manual in an array. Because array is not a class with lot of methods. Array is just a class with only data to store data, nothing more than that. Is that clear? So we have to run a loop to shuffle the elements. So just try to do anyhow. If you're not understanding, I'll give you the complete book. So in the Flipkart, we are able to control products right now. You're able to add, you're able to delete, you're able to search, you're able to view all the products.
Yes, sir.
Did you hear it clear?
Yes, sir.
But we have to test it actually again. We have to test this program step by step. This program is a very lengthy program, but once you test, you'll understand that step by step. Now, what else is found in the Flipkart? What is the other thing we find in the Flipkart?
Customer.
Customer. How will customers' data come into this list?
Registration.
Yes. So just you can write down another method called as register. We got all details. Okay, close. Yeah, I can read them. Yeah. And the last was we had only two data. It's up to you how much you do based on that. So the customer had only two, name and an email ID. What we should do with these details when customer enters a form by typing his name and the email ID? What should we do with that data?
We have to store it, and when he logins again, we have to compare it with
Yeah, store these details where?
name and email ID. Where
Yeah, name and email ID of which type of information?
string.
But are they together or they're separate?
Huh?
Are they together or they are now just two elements?
Two elements in it.
Yeah, they're not together, no, they're two different variables.
Yes.
So when a customer registers, these details, will it be separated or will it be saved together as one unit?
They'll be separate. Right?
Separately stored. In Flipkart, will they store name and email ID separately for everyone? Like all the names first, all the email IDs, or email ID with name is together as one unit.
Okay, okay. Email ID and name is together. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so into which I want to add details into what? Array.
Customer ID. Yes.
Arrays of which type?
Custom.
So we need to create what object? This one. I have to create a customer object inside registration method with the given data. So user is entering two details of the user. We are going to internally create an object with those two data. So customer object is newly created with the given or the entered name and the entered email ID. Is that clear?
Yes.
Same like products how we have done. So after creating, what should we do with this customer? Should it be only
We
in the
have to
function? Yeah.
put it into the customer list, ma'am.
Yes. C list of CC counter should be done with. Okay. But if already 50 customers are already there, can I add 51st character customer?
Oh, no.
No. So that means before adding the customer into the list, we should just check. Is the customer
If
list
it is
equal
less
to
than the length of the array.
with 0? What should I put? If the
No
count
customer
is
are added.
yeah.
Okay.
Or we should add it successfully. When should I add exactly? When it is 0 or when it is. There are two
Huh?
scenarios. We have two scenarios here saying that one is it's already full. Customer list is already full. This is one scenario. And another is second thing is we'll add the customer and say that your data is successfully added. There are two scenarios. So what is the condition here we have to add? What condition we should to say that it's full?
It is 0 and
Zero means
It
what?
is sorry, it is less than array length. Like it
Yes.
should be less than the array.
If it's equal to array's length. So
Or if it is
CC.
greater than the array length, also it is not possible.
Yeah. If it's equal to the array length, means if it has filled up the current count will be crossing the last index. So it will reach to the
Yes, ma'am.
length of the array. So if it is this, we'll say this, else we'll try to add the data into the distance service message. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
And if you have a password concept also, or now as of now, username and email ID itself is a password right now. So now second
Huh.
operation would be
Checking of password.
yes. So setting what we say as of now login. For login, we have to do with string. Here I have taken email ID. Otherwise, we'll take with the later we can take
Password.
password. With present. So now in this scenario we didn't write, otherwise you have to write that. You see registration form will have so many data, no username, the first name, last name, mobile, email ID, and a password,
Yes, ma'am.
reconfirm, and all those things. So that procedure you can write slowly. In this registration, you can write a lot of things. And that time customer class also should be lengthy, should have more variants.
Okay.
And similarly, in login, what should we do? Can you finish this program? Like I'll just leave it here only.
Okay.
Once he logs in only, it is success. To view the or to display the product details.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, something like this. Now we have many more methods like add product to the cart. So customer. Now we have to think again. So this program is like we have to think and expand the program step by step. So as I said, there is a customer. Customer has a name, email ID, password, and other things. But other than that, every customer should have a card. No?
Yes, ma'am.
So where should that card be present? That we have to. Is it a part of a customer?
Same in customer class.
Just a
Yes, ma'am.
moment. So cart is what exactly? What is the meaning of a cart? What it should store inside that?
Products.
Yeah. So cart is nothing but an array of
Yeah, yeah. Products.
products. Or maybe I'm giving for every customer product purchase limit is 10. We can only add 10 products to the cart, assuming.
Then
Right? Now, what customer can do
yes, sir.
once he logs in, what he can do after logging, what will be
He logs
generated?
in. He'll search his product and add to cart.
Add to the cart. So that means my customer specific operations void add product to cart. And what should be entered in that time? What should he add as an argument?
Product name.
Okay. Product name and the quantity. Something
Hmm.
else. Okay. So in the cart, what are we going to store? Cart consisting of products, you said. But cart should only store product or product along with the quantity.
Product along with quantity.
Quantity. So is it single dimension or two dimension?
Two dimension.
So this we have to correct. Here only the cost of it. We are not going to store anything here. 10 products. and beside that, cost of each word, quantity of each word.
Quantity.
Nothing more. So we need to work on this because if you take the coding, it will take a lot of time right now. But you can start doing part by part. Check one by one. Start with customer class, write a constructor and execute and check it working. Then do another method, then do another method. Check everything one by one, practically. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Will you be able to try to some extent?
Yes, sir.
Shall I leave this program till here?
Okay.
I'll send the code anyhow, this code to you. So that now you should plan it and again start coding for it and test step by step into it.
Okay.
Any doubts as of now?
No. No.
And after writing all these things, we have written all these three classes. So we are having the major class is what? Flipkart. So at last you write a class called as
That's Flipkart.
Flipkart. In that you write the main method, and in that what should we do here in this method? I should create an object of
Flipkart.
now we can start testing whatever you want. Add a product. So check whatever methods are there. You can do that.
Yes, ma'am.
So you try this part. So everything will happen from here. But here I will not write any SOPs, you can understand. We are not going to create a product name, we are not going to create a product cost, nothing. All operations are written inside the classes. So you should know how to interact with those.
Yes, ma'am.
That's the topic is access specifiers and packages. So what is access specifier? So these are like keywords, special keywords used to specify the scope of a information. Scope of visibility or accessibility of any member of a class. That means both data or the methods, anything which is inside a class by others. Okay. So we will just try to give restrictions to our information present inside a class, the data or the method. Who should access or who should not access, or till where it should be visible, to which scope it should be visible. So that we can define these all concepts with some keywords called as access specifiers. And access specifiers are also called as modifiers also. Access specifiers or modifiers. But there's a slight difference in these two words. I'll discuss that. So now there are four access specifiers. First one is public. These are all keywords, so it will be always in small letters. Protected, for the last one is private. Now, this chapter is really basic concept. So, talk about public. The simple thing you have to understand that it is visible. Anything which is public inside a class is visible by or visible from anywhere and by anyone. Or simply say it is visible to everyone from everywhere. Anyone can access this one. No restriction. Simple word is no restriction to access this. So we should only know how to access it. So like if anything
Yes.
is public, I should know how to access it. So if there is a class called A, and inside that I wrote a variable called as public int x is equal to 0. or x is equal to 20. How will I access? How will somebody or anyone will access this? Or how will class B access this? What it should do? Now this is an
With
outside.
the,
What it should do?
with the class name, class A name, like A dot
It's,
X.
is it a dot x?
Sorry, no, it should first create an object of A and then a,
Yeah. So if this class wants to display the information, I cannot directly write statements inside a class. So B wants to display whose value? X value. So for that, I just want to say that I have to first create an object. Hence, we should know how to access it. Directly, I cannot access it. So this is
this.
how we will try to print it. Okay. So that means it does not give any restriction to anyone. Anybody can access. So outsiders can directly access, but we need to at least create a object. They cannot just access like X because it's not your property, it's somebody else's property. Somebody
Yes,
else's property we can use only if that somebody is aware. So that object should be created. Via that object we will access this information, public information. Right? This is public. And here main thing is the classes can be within the same folder or other folders. So this is like outside. And this is like these classes are within the folder. Same folder means inside the same folder. So the classes from the same folder or classes from any folder, other folder, but whatever classes may be present in whichever folder, they can access any data which is public or any method which is public. No restrictions on it. Because now we are writing classes now. Just see the locations also. Maybe I'm writing the programs inside. Every day's program is in one folder. So here we have some class called as demo 2, demo 1. But it is visible till which folder? By default, it is visible to which folder? Can I see this folder, file names from outside the folder?
no, ma'am, no.
Or we have to go inside the folder?
You have to go inside the folder.
Yeah. So whenever we talk about folders, we have two scopes, which is inside or which is outside. What is inside and what is outside? So whatever is inside a folder, it's visible to whom exactly? Who can see this class file?
Who has access to that folder?
Who are also present in the same folder. So we have to understand in public is the classes from any folder can be accessed from any other folder. Okay. So the classes from or present in any folder can be accessed from
Any folder, same.
any folder and even it's public information. Member of that class can be accessed even if it is public. If it's public only. If it's not public, we can't access from everything. So that means by default, it can be actually visible to the same folder everyone. But outsiders, they have to call with the folder name. So I should say like in that folder there is a class called demo. So folder day 1 has a class called demo 2. I cannot say just demo 2. So if an outsider wants to access it, they have to call with the folder name. Okay, day 1 demo 2 or day 2 demo 2. Right? For location, folder name is important. So that means just think that no restriction. If something is public, wherever it will be present, we should know how to go inside and access it. Wherever it is present, you can access this. Only thing is we should know how to access it. Because it's not directly accessible. You cannot say print that data directly. To access that, we have to say the folder name.
Procedure
We
of
have to
access.
create an object also. Something like
Object.
that. Right? We'll see that tomorrow. I'll teach you that concept after like inheritance topics. Next is protected. So I'm just telling the meaning of it because for this first we should finish packages actually. Then only we'll understand this topic. Protected keyword. It is used or it is visible to anyone or everyone in the same folder. And from outside the folder, outside the folder, or outsiders we can say, or outsiders, only the inherited or the child classes can access. So here we are saying a child. So if there is some A class and if there is some A's child, but it is in other folder. Okay. But the A class is in which folder? Okay, it is in the folder 1. And where is the child class right now? Folder 2. But still, the B, which is a child class of A, can access which data? All its protected data. So the data which is protected, it is accessible even to any child outside the folder. It's not like public right now. It is not a public. So main thing here is it is visible to everyone within the folder. Everyone within the folder. But outsiders, only childs can access from outside. Can access from outside. Childs can access from the outside folders. Okay, so those who are lying in the same folder, there is no restriction. They can access the protected data. But from outside the folder, who can access this data? Those who are child to this class. So simply protection means
How will we know that it is child?
yeah, for that next chapter we'll finish that inheritance. Just I'm giving an overview of the keywords here.
Yes,
Means
ma'am.
it is visible within the folder. Within the folder, everyone. Any class can access which is inside the same. What's outside the folder? Only child can access.
Child classes.
So child class is nothing but inheritance class. Inherited classes. So for that we have to do the inheritance class. So this is, can I say, is it public? Is it visible everywhere? Or is it only visible within the
Oh,
folder? But outsiders, is it not visible? Or is it visible to few people? For an
it is
outsider,
visible to few people now. Child classes.
only child classes. So that is the definition of protected. See, in Java, folders are called as packages actually. In Java terminology, whichever folder is created, it's called like a package. So why we generally create
Okay.
folders is to collect the things. Something which is common, related, we'll put it in one folder. So now I'm putting all my Java examples in some CRJV 18 folder. Means this will be remaining in a group. So group of related data can be put in a folder. So folder is nothing but a simple Java package. So when I say protected, protected information, anything which is protected means protected data, protected function or anything of any class. So whatever class it may be, it will be only giving an access of this data to every other class present in the same folder and every child class which is present in even outside the folder. That restriction we should remember, right? So outsiders is not open for all,
Yes.
only for child classes. Next is default. Default is a very simple keyword. Like if I keep something, if you keep something in your house, inside your house, who are not legal to access that? Who can access that particular product legally? If it's a your house route, right now.
All the people
Whatever,
inside the house.
yeah, that means only in the folder. So visible till the folder, but not to the outside, but not outside, not even child. So no one can see other than the folder. So it's only visible to the same folder, other classes, but not other packages, not even a child class. So it's just somewhat lesser than the protected. Protected is giving an outside access to the child, but default is not giving that access also. So it is reducing one by one. Public within the folder and outside the folder, no restriction. Protected within the folder, everyone can access, but outside the folder, only child can access. When I come down to the third, default. And default is not a keyword actually. When I don't mention anything, it's called as default. Like this. This is called as default access specifier. Okay. But if I say public, it's like public name. It's a public access specifier. And again, we have to mention this also that this is a protected. That means everything has a keyword except for which one? The default.
Default.
So when you don't mention, it automatically takes a default keyword. Keyword means only visible to the folder, not outside at all. No other can access this from outside folder. So is it reduced further?
Yes.
And the last is private members of one class are visible only within the same class by any operation, by any method of the class. Okay, is that clear? So,
Yes, sir.
not even to
Same
other
folder.
class, yeah, other classes in the same folder or other or outside folders. Is it a doubt till here or is it clear? Is this clear? Any confusion?
Yes,
Any?
clear.
Theoretically, it's clear. Just
No.
practically, application. Yes, it's clear. Now you understood the difference between public and private. Where can we access private and where can we access public?
Hello.
Yeah. Where can we access public and where can we access private? In one.
Public can be accessed from anywhere now.
Yeah. So we can say, I'll just write one word here. Private.
Within the class.
Same class. Protected.
Within the class.
Within the class, everyone is accessed. Every child, I can say any child.
Child and
And
same
everyone
folder.
in the same. That is protected. And default.
Everybody inside the same folder, not child classes.
Yeah, that's it. So this is simple definition of it.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, I only muted actually because of the house right now. Yeah.
Yeah, fine.
Now we need to learn two more topics actually. What is a package and what is inheritance? Because inheritance is a big chapter, but if I have to teach you the
Yes, ma'am.
package and all the access specifier practical, so at least I should know what is inheritance. Because with inheritance, we can create a child class. Because if I do this only, I'll be able to show the all the difference between these keywords right now. So if I need to show practically exact difference between public, private, and default, I should do some concept called packages. With package keyword, it's nothing but we are talking about folder creations. This is the first thing. Because if I am able to create a folder and put my classes inside that using Java compiler, right? Packages are the
Yes.
folders created by the Java compiler, not manual creation. We are not creating the folders. So these folders are generated by the compiler. So what is the use of this folder? To wrap some classes, to close some classes in
Access.
a
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
package. So these classes will be linked with this particular package. So now if the package concept is taught, I can teach you the difference between default. What is default for that package? And I can
Yes,
show you what is public so that I'll go outside the package and try to access this members. So these two differences we can see. Now, how will I show protected difference? For that, I should be able to create a child class. We should know how to create an inheritance concept. So if I'm able to create a child class, then I'll create a child from where? Other packages. Then I'll be able to show you the difference between protected and the public. What is the meaning
yes,
of
ma'am.
public and what is the meaning of protected? Is that clear till here?
Yes,
So
I'm clear.
inheritance tomorrow will deal in depth actually. Just what is inheritances to get some properties or methodologies which is already there in the class. I want to derive it like a Xeroxing. So already there is some program written, some software written. Okay, this Windows is written. Okay, Windows 8 was already defined. Now what we can do later, we can design some Windows 10. Okay, something like we will develop this one. But to develop that, I don't have to develop the whole app, the whole OS from scratch. I want to inherit whatever is developed here once again and add new features to this. So
Yes,
for
ma'am.
that purpose, I'll just try to link this Windows 10 software with the Windows 8 by a keyword right now, extends. Whenever I just use this keyword and connect to some other class which is already developed, whatever is there inside that class, that data, that logics, whatever methods are there, whatever you have written there, it will be automatically passed on to this is inherits, or simply say, or gets everything of
Yes, ma'am.
everything from the 8 version to 10 version. So it's like reusability. Main concept is reuse. The inheritance purpose we will see in detail tomorrow. Just I want that whenever you want to write a child class, what is the only way we have to do? The class must extend another class. So this will be the parent class and this will be the child class.
Right, ma'am.
Okay. So this concept I'm writing in bracket. So that we should. Okay. First this is. So let me write all the packages. Now what is a package right? It's nothing but a folder generated by compilation. Generated by compilation.
Right.
To store classes, or we can say to collect related classes into one package. So what is the benefit of that is whenever you want to use those all programs once again, just to reuse those package classes, from some package, we can import it. We can just import it. Similar to the C program, how we do it, similar to hash including C. How we say hash including C. And we see the libraries there, stdio, something like that. So there also we are calling the libraries. Here also we can do import. So whatever packages are there, if it's package 1, in that package 1, if there is some class called as test, I can import. So now that means even if the class is found in some other location, I'm able to pull it. I'm able to call it by the folder name. So that package name and the test class. Now test class, what is the information? Test class members can be accessed. So that also we should see if no restrictions are given on the members. Yes, if they are public or protected, we have to check that. Right. Only then we can access from other. So if it's default or private, nowhere from other folders. It's only restricted to the package.
Yes.
Right. So now we are using two keywords here. One is the package keyword, another is the input. So package is used, this keyword as package keyword is used to create packages. Okay. Import keyword is used to, or we say import, or to get the package classes.
Packages.
Okay. Now the steps, we have to learn how to create packages. Now if you are writing a program called as some test class or something, I want this class or whatever classes you write in this one, it should be in one package. So maybe I have written 3 classes in this particular file. All these classes should be in one folder called as package 1. So before I started my program called test.java, inside that I made only the first statement itself as which statement? Package statement.
Package.
So mention the package keyword followed by the name of the package. Anything you can say. If I say TLS, it will be made it as TLS package. So just for example's sake, I am saying it as package 1. Inside package 1, these are the 3 classes. Now, every class is encapsulated inside package. Where will we find this packages? Sorry, the classes. Is it visible or is it hidden? Is it encapsulated or visible to everyone?
Encapsulated.
Inside the package.
Oh,
So package is also one level of encapsulation. So inside packages, we have hidden these classes. So who can access these classes is right now? Who can see this class 1, class 2, class 3? Or who can see it?
Present inside the same package.
Yes, that means the classes are also encapsulated. But will it be visible to the outsider directly?
No.
So there also we can use a keyword here. So inside a package, we can use 2 keywords for the classes. Or classes inside a package can be specified with 2 access specifiers. One is public, another is this is default. The default is not a keyword. So when I'm not writing, I can simply say these are which kind of access specifiers.
Default.
This also has
Default.
default. Now, one more important point here. In one file, in a single file, only one class can be public. Only one class can be public. But others should be default. must be D. Now can you see that logic by looking at these programs? My file name, inside that file I have written package name. Now I say public class test. This is only the only option there. Only class to have public access specifier. So what would be the rule? What would be the rule that I cannot make test2 as public? Can't make test2 as public. So classes can have only two access specifiers. Second important point here is classes can have only, can be declared either public or default. So either they will be public or they will be default. Why? Because the classes should be only visible in this package, that is called as default access specifier, or the classes should be visible by everyone outside the package also. That is called as public access specifier. So either I can hide my class within the package with the default access specifier, or else I can make it visible to outsiders through public access specifier. So two access specifiers allowed for the package level classes. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Now you tell me why only this. Why did I say that only this class can be public? Any rule for that? And if I try to mention this as public, there will be an error message saying that test2 is public, must be declared
Default.
inside test2.java. If you try to write this as public, you'll get this message.
Okay.
Means what is the rule here?
It should be declared default.
It should be means which classes can be defined as public? The class with the same name as the file name are the only classes,
Can be declared public.
yeah, the only class that can be declared public. But it can be declared default also. It can also be declared as default. This is optional. This is an option here. It's up to you. But the only class which can be public is the class which has the same name as the file, not more than that. Fine? Is that
Yes.
clear? Any confusion till here?
No, ma'am.
So I didn't write any code inside this. I just wrote a package name, package name, one public class, second it will not allow. So I have to remove this keyword. I'll just try to put this purpose. I cannot have a public access specifier. So both are default because all the three classes we mentioned in which file? Test.java.
Yes.
Till here clear? So
Yes.
once we do that, compilation starts. Java C, put a -d space dot space and the name of the file is test.java. For compilation, we have to write the compiler -d means directory above the current. Dot stands for the current. Currently, we are in which folder right now? If my current path is in this location. Today, inside that, if I have written a file called as test.java, the location is this. So what I can do? We have to compile this Java file in the same location and the same current location. So what is my current location? I'm in which folder? Date1.
Date one.
So dot stands for current location. So I have to say here JavaScript hyphen D, and hyphen D stands for one location above the current directory, one path or location above the current directory. Above, we can say inside. So if I'm in the CRJ18 folder, inside that we have day 18. So if I say day 18, day 1, inside this, one more folder should be. But what's the folder we created at this point? At which part? Inside the day 1. Means if there was a folder, I would have created like this. Means the path is like this. Means if I'm able to go into this path, definitely there will be a folder.
Yes, ma'am.
So if I create a package folder here, that means I can go inside that also. This path I can go only by clicking it here. Means this is my path code.
Yes.
So what we need to say is minus D stands for one location above, one path above inside the current directory, active directory. Okay. So for compilation, we have to type this. After writing the program in that manner, we have to just say compilation hyphen D dot the file complete file. Any confusion here?
No, ma'am.
I'll just show it practically to you. So I'm copying this. So in this file, can you see anything here? I've just written a keyword package followed by the package name, public class test, then default class test2, and this is test, and then default class
Just two.
okay. So this is also so there should be opening and a closing of this. I'll just simply enter. But there are two because these are already inside the that window. So I'm showing it right now. So this is a test2 class and this is a test3 class. Is there any confusion? Only classes are
No, no.
now. How do I save it and compile? I'm saving the file as
Just that.
test.java. In which folder? Data. So let me save this one. So now I'll go to the command prompt. Am I in the current location, in the current folder or the different? Now am I in the correct folder?
Yes, ma'am.
So you can check. Do we have that file? Now if I compare like this, like previously how check the directory will understand. Where did we find the classes? In which folder?
Yes, ma'am.
In the same folder.
Same folder classes are also there.
Yeah, but did it create any package here? Nothing. So we should not compile in that. So we delete all this. So, I'll delete all the class files. Okay. So again we are back to the Java file. So actual compilation should say what? JavaScript hyphen D space dot space test dot Java. Okay. Now we see the directory. What do we find?
Okay.
You can see physically also. Inside that So did I do
So
manually?
there, in compiler, you like in command prompt you use deno, ma'am. That is like
Yeah, yeah,
syntax for it, ma'am. Like,
yeah. There's a directory created, or one directory above the current. That means while compiling this file, it will read the code. What is the code written in
okay,
that? So compiler sees that we need to create a folder. What is the name of that folder? Package 1.
PKC.
But where is it going to create that package? From where we compile. What is the compiling location? This location.
Date one.
So current path is this. So current means dot. Dot. So one directory above the current path, which is day 12. So inside day 12, package 1 is generated. Means in this file, we had the name of the package as package 1. But where should that package 1 be created? One directory above the dot. Dot means current directory. What is the current directory? Day 12.
Date one.
So inside day 12, one more folder will be created and named as package 12. Sorry, package
Yes.
1. Package 1. And in that package, it will copy all these classes. The program will compile, it will generate three dot class files. Those three dot class files will go into which package?
Package one.
Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'll just stop till here today. So because we'll continue with tomorrow again with importing packages and all.
Yes.
So it will go for 2 to 3 days actually. This access specifiers, packages, and inheritance topic. It will take more than 3 classes.
Okay.
Right? Any doubts till here?
No, ma'am.
Fine. Okay. You can finish that Flipkart one and try to send me part by part. Don't have to write the whole code. Whenever you finish one part and execute it, check it practically is it working or not. You can send me that.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.